Do you want to know about the most gruesome event to take place in Belfast's Shankill graveyard? I'm Robert J. E. Simpson. Let me tell you a gory story you won't read in the guidebooks. The Shankill graveyard isn't just one of the oldest in Belfast, it's also one of the most densely packed cemeteries in the city, with some 500,000 bodies thought to be interred here. In July 1869, things got really bad. The Privy Council prohibited burials in any part of the ground where a grave couldn't be dug to a depth of 7 feet without disturbing human remains, and decided to close part of the graveyard. Across the cemetery, it was reputed that most of the graves had less than a foot of earth covering them. In a vain hope of stopping the council from closing the graves, a large group of men acting on behalf of the friends and relatives they interned decided to exhume the bodies and redig the graves to the required depth. Several people, described as gentlemen, tried to stop them, but on Saturday 31st of July and Sunday 1st of August 1869, the group got to work turning the site into something more suited to a horror film. By Sunday evening, the graveyard was strewn with over 100 broken coffins, heaps of skulls and other human bones and remains covering nearly all of the ground. A nauseating stench from the decaying corpses emanated across the yard, causing one chap to quip, "It was enough to raise a plague." The resurrectionists were fortified by whiskey and brandy in their necrotic endeavours. Working through every moment of available summer light, a number of the bodies and coffins were reinterred, but by Monday morning, the graveyard was in chaos as they rushed to meet their self-imposed midday deadline. 500 men, armed with spades, shovels, pickaxes, crowbars and barrows, frantically clawed at the earth. Some 200 coffins were now scattered around, some only buried 30 or so years before, others mere weeks and months before. Careless digging had broken open many of the coffins, revealing the bodies in their grave clothes. Remains were tossed all over the place, and a large pile of older coffins, minus their contents, were thrown into a heap in a corner for a bonfire. By now, word had spread around the town, and scores of men and women rushed to the graveyard in a hysterical state, appalled by the news that the graves of their loved ones were being interfered with. On seeing the graves of their friends and relatives opened up and bodies exposed to public view, many started weeping and lay down on the graves to stop the resurrectionists touching them with their spades. Backups were summoned to stand guard across the yard and prevent further intrusions from the diggers. The mayor and police arrived about 3 p.m. on the Monday afternoon and declared the work illegal and demanded the graves be filled back in. The yard's old ground was literally ploughed to the depth of 7 feet. Hundreds of coffins were stacked together. The whole scene was unimaginably ghastly. Over the next day or so, the graves were refilled and closed back up, and in a final insult, a number of the exhumed coffins couldn't be identified because of the way that they had been stacked and were almost certainly put back in the wrong plots. The cemetery itself was finally closed to graves in the 1930s, and most of the headstones removed in the 1950s. And with it, one of the most horrifying scenes imaginable was forgotten. Let me know in the comments if you've heard of the Shankill Desecration, and don't forget to like, follow and share for more weird and wonderful places, all things macabre and local histories. I'm Robert J. E. Simpson.